Okay, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Dennis Malone. I'm the principal here of Hamilton High School, and I want to welcome you all to the military recognition ceremony that we're going to honor these young people this afternoon. We asked Captain Allison if he would come forward. It's kind of a last minute, but we've asked him if he would lead the group in the Pledge of Allegiance. So if you would all stand, please.
You can please rise and join me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, at this time, again, I guess I've got a responsibility to welcome everyone here, and I'd like to just make a couple comments before we proceed with the program and also recognize different members that we have here. We have board members here from our Hamilton Board of Education, Dr. Glenn Stitziger, Mr. Larry Bowling, and Mr. George Johnson. Mr. Doug Leiss is here, who will be the new principal of Hamilton High School for next year. We have our assistant and associate principals here, and we also have the radios that go with them. Mr. Chris Mate, Ms. Jana Lewis, Mrs. Patty Gibbons, Mr. Brad Watkins, who's an interim assistant at this point, Mr. Keith Millard from our central office. I'd like to thank and welcome all of our recruiters who are coming in today, and certainly our speaker, Lieutenant Colonel Joe Kopus. If you would please, and I promise to be brief, but I'd like to direct this to our young people and also to the parents. We started this military recognition ceremony a few years ago because we felt it was very important to say to the young people who are making this commitment and recognize and thank the young people at this period of time in our history who are going into the military. And I say this as a parent of a soldier. So when I talk with you about the idea of a commitment and the idea of giving and taking and the idea of responsibility, I see that from the standpoint of my own son. I think there was a period of time in our history in the last 15 or so years, or prior to 9/11, that if you said, I'm going to the military, it was seen as a great place to go get training, but it really wasn't seen as a situation where you may really put yourself and your life on the line. Now, that's changed since 9/11. And every year we have young people step up, take the pledge, and they decide that they're going to be the people that are going to help keep us safe. At our award program last week, I said that I really, it's my observation and my opinion, so I hope you don't take offense to this, but I felt that we are really kind of becoming a society of givers and takers. And everybody has a little bit of this, but there's some people in our society who say, we want more, and we want more. But what do they ever do to give back? And I think our young people who have made the commitment to go to the military today, they're the givers. They're giving their time. They're giving a commitment of possibly 4 years or longer of their life. They're giving up all that time when they could be with family. They're giving up the situation of being away from home, strange places, different situations. But they're giving all that because they believe in what they're signing up for. They believe in this country. You know, I hope that they always remember that above all else, no matter what uniform they wear, they're all Americans. And no matter where they go in the world, they will first be seen as Americans. They can be American soldiers, airmen, military, Marines, Army, but they're all Americans. And I think because we have so much in this country, and because we always give so much to the world, that you have to remember that there's always a higher standard for you because you are an American. No matter where you go, people know you're an American, and they know you're in the military. And so your behavior and the way you conduct yourself is a different standard than everyone else that we have. So I have to say I'm very proud of all of you that you've made this decision. I know that you're going to have good training. I know that it's going to help prepare you for a future, that if you choose to leave the military at some point in your life, you will be ahead of other people of your age group. You may not have a college degree if you choose not to pursue that right away. You may not have a specific training, but what you will have is you're going to have certain characteristics or traits that other people won't. And think about this maybe 6 or 7 years down the road when you're out and you're applying for jobs. And someone says to you, well, can you do this job? I can't do that specific job, but I've been trained to do jobs. I can't particularly make that commitment to this business, but I've made commitments in the past. I can do anything you ask me to do because I've proven my time in the military, in my service, that I've made those things. I've made good decisions. And so when you finally come out of the military with that honorable discharge, it means a lot. As a principal of high school, I could say again, we're proud, we're going to miss you, but hope that you know that you always have a place here at Hamilton High School. Thank you very much.
I'd also like to welcome everyone. I am Chelsea Signor. I'm one of the counselors here at the high school. And from a counselor's standpoint, it's always a pleasure when you have one of your seniors come down and you're talking to them about what it is they're going to do once they graduate, and that they've made that commitment to the military and to serve our country. So it is an absolute honor from our standpoint as counselors to have that conversation with students and see their parents support them in that process. At this time, I would like to introduce from the Air Force, Staff Sergeant Dale Brown and Lieutenant Isaac Lutold to introduce our seniors who will be attending or enlisting in the Air Force.
Thank you. I'm Sergeant Brown. I'm the Air Force recruiter for the Hamilton area. This is Lieutenant Lutold. He's working with me for a time. I just want to introduce Sierra Conley here. Come on up, Sierra. Sierra enlisted back in December. Went up to MEPS and swore in, and she just booked her job last month and is leaving 25 September for aircraft electrical and environmental systems. So she'll be working on the electrical and environmental aspects of the aircraft. All right, that's it for the Air Force. Thanks.
Okay, now I'd like to introduce Staff Sergeant Steven Speisiger from the U.S. Army. Students, when your name is announced, please come up and form a line here in the front, and we'll acknowledge you in order.
Thank you, ma'am. This year at Hamilton High, I had the honor and privilege of enlisting 5 seniors and 1 junior. The junior's not here, but he'll be here next year at this very same award ceremony. We're missing one of our students, but one of my soldiers, but she'll be here later on, and we'll be able to recognize her. I'm going to ask you to go ahead and come on up, the 4 of you who are here. Karen Parsons, James Smith, Austin Jovanovich, Monica's not here, and Michael Collins coming up. All right, first, Miss Karen Parsons, you can see she's in uniform. The reason why she's in uniform today is she's already enlisted in the United States Army Reserve. She's reported to her unit and has started drilling. She's already serving as a student and a citizen soldier in the U.S. Army Reserves. So along with Karen Parsons' enlistment, she enlisted for what we call 92 Whiskey, which is water treatment specialist. She got an $8,000 enlistment bonus, which this check signifies. Right here, we're going to take a picture of it. She enlisted back not the last day of February, but the 28th day of February, this being a leap year and all, and she got her enlistment bonus. Along with her enlistment bonus, she gets this check for her college money that's been reserved for her, $46,620 in college money. She's going to be going to UC this spring. She's going to UC this spring because she's going to basic training and down at Fort Jackson, South Carolina, and then moving up to Fort Lee, Virginia for 37 weeks of water treatment specialist school. And then she's going to UC to major in criminal justice, where she has also been accepted to the ROTC program. Congratulations. I look forward to saluting you one day when you're a lieutenant. Up next, we have James Smith. James Smith, excuse me, you step around a little bit. James Smith has enlisted as an infantry recruit. He enlisted to have these checks made out on the day of their enlistment, help me out a little bit, on the 10th of February, and he's going to be leaving for basic training down at Fort Benning, Georgia, where they're going to train him to be a steely-faced killer. He's going to be an infantryman. Okay. Along with his enlistment, he gets this check signifying that he has reserved for him for his college education $66,528 reserved for his college education. Look forward to serving. Austin Jovanovich. I'll tell you a little bit about this guy. Okay, he enlisted back in November, the 22nd of November. He's going to be a military police officer. Okay, he enlisted for 5 years, and he's leaving from Hamilton, Ohio, going up to Columbus, and enlisting again and moving out to Fort Leonard Wood, Missouri, where he's going to go through OSIT training, one station unit training. From there, from Fort Leonard Wood, he's going to be getting on yet another plane and flying down to Fort Benning, Georgia. And then the next time he gets on an airplane, he's going to jump out of it. He's going airborne. So, congratulations. Along with his enlistment and his airborne incentive, he got $75,528 in college money. That's not you. That's mine. Okay, Michael Collins, this young man, is also enlisted as an infantryman. He's going to be going down to Fort Benning, Georgia after graduation, where he's going to learn how to become an infantryman. As soon as he's finished with his infantry training, he's going to go across the street, and the next time he gets on an airplane, he's going to jump out of it. He's going airborne. He just got that in his contract, what, last week? Yeah, you were out doing PT, doing push-ups, and I came up to you and said, guess what happened? We got you airborne, just like you wanted. $66,528 in college money for Michael Collins. The one young lady who couldn't make it today, Monica Witten, she enlisted, and I wish she was here because now I can actually say what her job is, because she got like the most technical job out of anybody I've ever met. She got ground combat electronic missile systems repair with an airborne option. So she's going to be jumping out of airplanes too. She's in $66,528 as well for her college education. Congratulations, and I look forward to serving with each and every one. I want to jump with you guys.
At this time, I'd like to introduce Sergeant Justin White to announce our seniors who will be enlisting in the Marines.
I don't like mics. I'm usually a little too tall for them. We have a saying in our office that you recruit who you are. And whenever I first heard that saying, I pictured myself back in high school. I was 6'3", 150 pounds, not very confident. I want to be able to stand up in front of 5 people and speak out loud. So I'm going, what kind of people am I going to be enlisting into the Marine Corps? I don't want those type of people in the Marines. I want people that are confident, have courage, have discipline. The people that I've actually been enlisting for the last 2.5 years are people that I've built up to become. My courage, my confidence, my discipline, everything's become much stronger. So this is my last presentation I'll ever be able to give out here on recruiting duty. And it's an honor to be giving it out to 8 young lady and gentlemen out here in the crowd. So if we can please come forward. Desiree Dreyer, Michael Bodas, Michael Owens, Sean Reiser, Christopher Tamas, Donald Reese, and David Monin. A lot of the skills that I've learned through the Marine Corps I've been developing into these people for quite some time. Some of them have been inside the delayed entry program for almost a year now, and some of them have been in the delayed entry program for about 2 to 3 months. I'm developing them to become Marines and to make their transfer into boot camp a little bit easier. I'm proud to say all of y'all are ready to go. I think y'all have what it takes. I know y'all have what it takes. I'm anxious to see what y'all can do out there. Desiree Dreyer will be leaving for boot camp June 4th, right after graduation. She's been going into aviation electronics technician. What I have now are little certificates. I'm going to read them out loud so I don't have to say it 8 different times. This is to certify that Desiree Dreyer successfully passed the required mental, moral, and physical examinations and has been accepted for enlistment in the delayed entry program in the United States Marine Corps. The defense of our country and our freedoms is the duty and privilege of every citizen. The Marine Corps has a proud tradition of outstanding service to our country in peace and war. Voluntary membership in this elite military organization is a clear demonstration of American qualities of patriotism and loyalty. Congratulations. Michael Bodas will be going to boot camp June 4th as well. His job will be infantry. Michael Owens will be going to boot camp on June 11th, infantry as well. Sean Reiser will be going to boot camp July 6th. His job is infantry. Christopher Tanis will be going to boot camp August 20th. He's going to be a legal and administration option. Donald Reese will be going to boot camp September 4th. He's going to go communications electrician bonus. He got a $4,000 bonus, so whenever he graduates from his MOS school, he'll get a $4,000 check. And David Monty, he's going to boot camp November 5th and be combat support. Good luck out there. We'll have some more training for you before you go to boot camp still. Thank you very much. Y'all have a good day.
Last but not least, we'll introduce from the Navy, Petty Officer Thomas Burke.
We have a couple people that joined the Navy. So when I call your name, please step forward. Michael Brown, which is not here, obviously, and Deshaun Burt. This is Deshaun Burt. He joined the Navy actually last month. He goes to boot camp come October this year. He's going into the Information Technology Program, which basically he'll be a land technician on a ship working on a land network. This is the first time I ever did this, so. I've only been the recruiter here in Hamilton for about 7 months now, so this is new. I was going to embarrass him when he got up here, but I'm not going to do that. So I'll just keep that on the down low like he asked me to. So what I have for him today is a certificate of achievement. It's for the great achievement in being selected to the Information Technology Program when he went down to the MEP station down in Louisville. So, and a nice pretty frame for it. And I have one for Michael Brown, which I'll give it to his family after this. So I don't know where he is, but all right. Thank you very much.
Joining us today as our guest speaker is Lieutenant Colonel Joseph Kopis. He's a graduate of Hamilton High School in its era as Taft High School. He enlisted in 1983 with the United States Army and has spent time in active duty, Army Reserves, and currently serves in the Ohio National Guard. Joe has served 3 deployments, serving on Operation Iraqi Freedom, Operation Enduring Freedom, and Noble Eagle. He has served in Field Artillery and the Medical Corps. Lieutenant Colonel Kopis was previously the commander of the 373rd Medical Company in Columbus and is currently assigned to the 285th Area Support Medical Company in the Ohio National Guard. Please join me in welcoming Lieutenant Colonel Joseph Kopis.
Hey, good afternoon, everyone. How are you? I want to tell you, I want to first of all recognize a few people, and I want to say a few thank yous before I start to speak about the message I want to share with you this afternoon. I see our superintendent is here. It's good to see you, Mrs. Baker, and again, like Principal Mr. Malone said, it's great to see our school board members here, and thank you, Mr. Malone, and thank you, Mrs. Stenger, for inviting me here today. And this is indeed an honor and a pleasure for me to have an opportunity to speak before you. I also want to recognize and thank Captain Allison and the accomplishments of the ROTC program here. My son, when he went to school here, had the privilege of participating in that for a couple years, and what a positive event that is for him, or was for him. And you know, I just want to recognize not only Captain Allison, but his assistant, Marine Corps Gunnery Sergeant Todd McAllister, and all of the tremendous work and effort that they put in, and the wonderful example that they represent for the young men and women of this high school. So, sir, I just want to recognize you, and thank you very much for that. You know, last year I had the opportunity to attend this event just as someone sitting in the audience here, and I remember our speaker last year was Mr. Kent Bryson, and I have to tell you, he's a very hard act to follow because he did such a wonderful job, and I have thought about the message that he shared with us several times since then. So I don't know if Mr. Bryson is with us here today, but when you see him, please tell him that he did a great job, and I certainly respect that. So I know that Mrs. Baker and the board members and the principals are all here, but the one person that really kind of charges me on what I can and can't say is my wife, and I don't see her here. So I guess I'm at liberty to discuss whatever I want to, but please don't tell her. You know, I've thought a lot about what I should say, and I've tried to eliminate some of the things I shouldn't say. And young Mr. Monin, one of our Marine Corps enlistees, you know, has been a friend of mine for a long time and occasionally will visit my home. So I had to pick a story that I haven't shared with him. So I hope I do come up with something. I want to talk about what in the Army, and it's great to see young soldiers that we refer to as the Army values, but for the purpose of today, I'm just going to refer to them as the military values because they do spread equally and fairly across all branches. But I can't think of two more honorable careers that a person can have other than being a teacher, being involved in education at some level, and serving your country. Those on my list, those two are certainly at the top. So how appropriate it is in my mind that we and you in the educational field will gather this afternoon in an opportunity to just a brief recognition of what these young men and women are about to do. But the first military value I want to just touch basically on is loyalty. Loyalty. Now, it may mean something a little different to you now, but I'm going to tell you what it's going to mean to you once you become involved in the military, because it means the same to all of us. You want to bear true faith and allegiance not only to the United States Constitution, but to your particular branch of service, to everyone in your particular branch of service, to this great nation, and to the heritage that we all share. Duty. You want to fulfill all of your obligations, and you want to be able, ready, and willing to accept full responsibility for all of your own personal actions and for those around you. And that's a difficult thing for a lot of people, I find, in today's world. But you need to be willing to do that. And it truly would be a greater place if we all did that. Respect. Principal Malone touched on this briefly. The way you treat other people reflects not only on you as an individual, but it will reflect on the branch of service that you're serving in, and it will reflect on all of us as a country. So always be respectful. Selfless service, another thing that's very difficult to do, and admittedly for me too at times. You need to put the welfare of your nation, your fellow service member, and your subordinates above your own. So you truly need to be more concerned about those around you than you are about you. Honor. You need to take pride in what you've accomplished in a very humble manner. You don't want to be boastful. You don't want to be a showman. And you need to be very thankful for the opportunities that you have earned and for the opportunities that you'll be given. Like I'm thankful to be here today to have an opportunity to speak to you briefly. This is a huge one, in my opinion, probably the most important. I think I could intelligently argue that point with anyone. Integrity. Integrity. You need to always do what's right all the time, everywhere you go. No excuses. That's tough, but that's what's going to be expected of you. So always keep that in the back of your mind. Personal courage. You need to have the ability to face any fear, any danger, any adversity, not only for your well-being, but for the well-being of those around you. And you need to think about those things, and you need to be prepared to learn to do those. And some of those will represent significant challenges to you. Now, I can't tell you all of the challenges that you're going to face, and I certainly can't tell you how to handle and how to answer all of those. But I do assure you this, if you can incorporate the military values into the way you conduct yourself, the actions that you take, you're going to do the right thing. And not only can you be proud of yourself, your families and everyone else around you will be proud of you also. Now, Mrs. Stinger asked me if I could speak briefly about inspiration and maybe share an inspirational story with you. Well, Webster told me that inspiration is the action or the power of moving the intellect or emotions. But I guess if I'm speaking to this crowd, I should say Google or Bing or some other search engine. Of course, we are in a library, so I guess it's appropriate to talk about Webster. But what inspires you? Well, I tell you, I would submit to you that the most inspirational things in your life, some of them may have already occurred, and some of them are yet to come, but they will come from the least expected sources at the most unusual time. But you'll know it, you'll recognize it, and it will ring true for you, and it will affect the way that you look at life, and it will affect the way that you conduct yourself. Now, I want to share two stories with you, both very brief, one somewhat humorous, the other one is serious as you can get, about inspirational stories. And you can find inspirational stories in all branches of the service, any theater of operation, by any soldier, or airman, or seaman, or Marine. But I want to share one with you that happened to me personally a number of years ago, and there's a little bit of humor in this. I was on active duty at the time, and I was at the rank of sergeant, and I was in the process of going through the federal OCS program at Fort Benning, trying to earn a commission. I was in the 14th week of a 16-week program. It was a Sunday morning, and we were supposed to have free time until noon at that point in the program, to where you could take care of any personal business, do your laundry, clean your room. Most cadets at that point just slept. But at 04:30 that morning, I heard the PA system come on, which normally they would blast Reveille, and you had just a few minutes to prepare yourself and be standing in formation. But that particular morning, the company commander's voice came over the PA, and he told us that he was going to take us on a short walk for the day. Well, 30 minutes later, we were all standing in formation in full uniform with what we used to refer to as full battle rattle. It was dark outside. The commander was kind enough to show up in his PT uniform, which is shorts and a t-shirt and tennis shoes, and we started walking. And the sun came up, started to get warm. We walked out of Fort Benning. We kept walking. He stopped us, made us change our socks. We're up and walking again, and a few hours later, I saw a sign that said the Alabama state line. And I knew right then, if we turn around right now, we have at least 12 miles to go to get back to where we started. Well, we didn't turn around. We kept walking. The sun got hotter. And I think it was an attempt to just see how much could you take. We could all walk all day if that was what he wanted us to do. But how much harassment could you take? There was actually a truck behind us that if you wanted to quit the program, all you had to do was get on the truck and you would be on your way home or back to your previous unit the next day. And somewhere about 2 or 3 o'clock in the afternoon, now keep in mind we started at 5 in the morning, there was a car that drove down the middle of our 2 lines of soldiers. We had already been whittled down from 250 people that started down to about 120. And as this car went down the middle of us, they were playing loud music, and there were high school kids in there, and all of a sudden the thought occurred to me that, you know what, maybe I don't need this. Maybe I don't want this anymore. Maybe I want to get on that truck and go back to the unit that I was assigned to. And I actually think that maybe I would have done that. But as I turned around to look for the truck, I looked across the street, and 20 feet away from me was a young female cadet named Eckstein. I didn't know her very well, but I had seen her in different areas of training. And for a brief second, I thought, wait a minute. This young lady is walking just as far as I am. She's carrying exactly the same thing I'm carrying. There is no way that I'm going to quit until she quits. Well, she didn't quit. And thank God I didn't quit either. But I'm telling you, she's the reason. So at graduation, I went up and introduced myself to her, and I told her that what an inspirational moment that was for me. And I thanked her for not quitting, because there were a lot of cadets there that were much bigger and stronger and faster than her. But she had what it really takes. And I want to talk about that just for a moment. You will find that you cannot judge a soldier always by what he looks like. You're going to see young men and women that are bigger than you, that are stronger than you, that might be smarter than you. That does not mean that they're going to be more successful. What matters is, what do you have in here? How bad do you want it? How far do you want to go? What do you want to accomplish? And I'm telling you right now, no one will determine that except you. I look over here at this private, and it really, I have a question for you. Do you know what a fuzzy private is? A fuzzy private. Well, I was a fuzzy private, okay? So I'm telling you, if you want to be a full bird colonel, if you want a rank that would equate to what Captain Allison has in the Navy, you can do it if you're willing to pay the price, okay? And when I was your age, which was a long time ago, I decided that's what I wanted. And hopefully before too long, if Captain Allison gives me a good recommendation, I'll make 06. But the point is the opportunities are there. Don't let anyone tell you you can't, okay? You decide what's right, what's good for your career, and you pursue that path. And if you're willing to pay the price, you'll accomplish it. Now I want to share with you a story that I think is extremely inspirational, and I think if you listen to it and if I describe it correctly over the next few minutes, you're going to find all of the military values that we talked about. In 2008, I was assigned to Task Force Medical Falcon, and I was stationed at Camp Bondsteel in Kosovo. The commanding general for the NATO forces happened to be an American one-star general named Kay. He would frequently come to the hospital where I worked, and I think it's because he liked the clinic that I work in. I know he loved to drink coffee. We always made some kind of crazy form of coffee. So he would come in and talk to us, and you'll learn quickly when a one-star talks, you tend to listen intently. And that's what I did when he was around. So this one day, he was sharing with us a story of a duty that he had 15 years prior. He wasn't a one-star at that time, but he was assigned the duty of going to a funeral for a soldier that had been killed in combat. And this soldier had posthumously been awarded the Congressional Medal of Honor, and his job was to go there and make this presentation to the soldier's family. That's a very solemn, very honorable thing to do. And the soldier's home was in Lincoln, Maine. So then Colonel Kay, he flew to Lincoln for his duty, and when he was in the hotel the day before the ceremony, he was telling me that, you know, I realized that I really didn't know that much about the Congressional Medal of Honor. So he went to the library in this little town, and he was reading all the books he could read about the Congressional Medal of Honor, and the evening passed before he was finished, so he checked the books out and he took them back to the hotel room. Now I want to stop my story there so I can tell you a different part of it. On October 3rd, 1993, there was a soldier named Gary Gordon. He was a sniper in the United States Army. He was assigned to Special Forces Operations Group in Somalia. And he was involved that day in a mission called Gothic Serpent. And his job in that mission was to be an aerial observer and to provide aerial support. And during the operation of this mission, as has the potential to happen in any military operation, several things went wrong. There were a couple Black Hawk helicopters that were shot down. The first helicopter that went down was secured by a rescue team. The second that went down, there was no one to secure that. So Master Sergeant Gordon radioed back to the commanders and asked permission once to be allowed to be dropped into this crash site so he could provide security for the 4 airmen on this Black Hawk helicopter, which he didn't even know if they were alive. But he volunteered to go down and provide security, and the commander came back over the radio and said no, he denied the request. So as Master Sergeant Gordon was watching things develop, he once again radioed in and asked for permission to drop down and provide security against thousands of enemy combatants that were closing in on the second aircraft. Again, he was told no. The third time he requested it, the commander came back and said, "Gordon, do you know what you're asking?" And he said, "Yes, I do." I mean, he was basically asking to give his life for his fellow soldiers. Well, his third request was approved, and he was dropped in with his sidearm and his sniper rifle. And for as long as he could, he provided security. And when it became obvious that he was going to run out of ammunition and that he was no longer going to be able to protect the lone survivor of the crew, which was a pilot that he had taken to the most secure position that he could, he ran back to the crash site and the pilot, and he gave him his firearm, and his last words were, "Good luck." And shortly after that, he was killed. Now, the pilot survived. He was taken hostage and held for what I think was 11 days until he was finally recovered by the American forces. Now, the pilot's name was Michael Durant. There's been a number of books written about this. There was a great movie, Black Hawk Down, that was made about it. So if you want to learn more about it, you can read or watch those too. Now, there's a number of amazing things about this. Think about what this man did. He knew what he was volunteering for, but he did it anyway. And is that not the utmost example of putting others above yourself? That's a tremendous thing to do. And another amazing thing about that was he's not the only soldier that did that on that mission. There was another soldier named Randall Stuttgart, who was a sergeant first class, who did exactly the same thing. What more could you ask for? So I'm going to say, I hope my duties never force me into making a decision in a situation like that. I hope your duties never force you into it. But if we ever are, I hope that our training and that our character will cause us to do what is decent and honorable and in the right in that situation. Now, I want to finish the story by getting back to General K and the books in his hotel room. As he read the book and as he learned more about the Congressional Medal of Honor, he realized that the last time that book was checked out previously to him was 18 years ago by a young high school student named Gary Gordon. So I would submit to you that the lessons that you are learning now and the lessons that you will learn in the next year in your training in the military will form you into whatever you're going to be. And I can only hope and pray that that's a great citizen and a great soldier. So be thankful to those people that have gotten you to this point, your parents, your aunts, uncles, all those that love you. Certainly your teachers, because trust me, they're very formative people. I would tell you that my military travels has taken me to 11 different countries. And the best I can tell, despite what issues we may have, this is still the greatest country in the world. And I've heard people, and you probably have also, talking about living the American dream. I have a neighbor that every time I see him and I ask him how he is, he always responds, "I'm living the dream. I'm living the dream." But he'll add, and this is important, before you can live the dream, you have to earn the dream. And that's what you guys are getting ready to do right now. And the great thing about what you're going to do is you're not going to earn the dream just for yourself. You're going to earn the dream for every American citizen. You're going to secure, as Mr. Malone said, the freedoms and the liberties that we all share and enjoy every day. That's a wonderful thing. That's an honorable thing. And I can't tell you how much I respect that. Life is going to bring you a lot of great things. It has brought me many. And two of them are right over there, my two daughters. My oldest daughter, Lauren, who is a teacher now, I can say that, in the Hamilton City Schools. We're all thankful for that. And my youngest daughter, Megan, who is a nursing student at Northern Kentucky. And my son would be here, except he started earning his dream. He's on his way as we speak to Fort Sill, Oklahoma to undergo basic training. So I wish not only him, but all of you the best of luck in whatever career path you follow. And I will assure you this, if you ever have a need to have help, advice, or guidance from an Army Lieutenant Colonel, all you have to do is look me up, and I will do anything I can do to help you out. I respect you, I admire you, and all I can ask is that God bless you and God bless this great country and all of those that defend her. Thank you very much.
Okay, can I have Michael Brown please come up? I'm not going to make him do push-ups or anything, so I know she's asking me to do that. You can take care of it right after this, sir. This is Michael Brown. He joined the Navy back in September of last year, pretty much when I first got here. I'm not his recruiter, it's Petty Officer Massengill. I apologize for him not being here, and he sends his apologies and regrets. When Michael Brown first joined and went down to MEPS, he took a aviation electronics job. Am I correct?
Advanced Electronics Computer Field.
There you go, that one. Then he tried out and took the test to become what we call a nuclear engineer. He actually passed the test. We put his paperwork in, and now he is going to be a nuclear engineer. He goes to boot camp January
11th.
January 11th. Again. But going into the nuclear engineering field, it's very big. That's one of the top schools in the Navy. He'll actually go to school for 2 years in Charleston, South Carolina. He'll walk out of there with a bachelor's degree in nuclear engineering, and then he'll serve on a aircraft carrier or a nuclear-powered submarine. If he decides to go to a nuclear-powered submarine, I hope to see you out there, because I've been on submarines for 17 years since I've been in the Navy. So good luck, and we have the certificate of achievement for you for the nuclear engineering program that you went into. Okay? There you go.
My name is Brian Treadway. I'm one of the school counselors here. I'm just here to close this out. And so every student I would like to personally thank and just echo all the great things that you guys have heard. The Hamilton High School family has put together a photo that you see on your table, and I'm just going to read what that letter says from the Hamilton High family. We are so honored to be able to celebrate with you today. We can hardly contain our pride in you, and we applaud your choice to serve your country as a member of the United States Armed Forces. When you leave Hamilton to join the others who have been called to service as you have, please know that your Hamilton High family will be keeping you in our hearts, our thoughts, and our prayers. We'll pray often that you come to no harm and that you will return home safely. Your choice to serve the people of the United States, to be willing to fight to assure our freedom, is one of the most selfless acts that anyone can choose. We are truly grateful to you for your choice. We know that by having you in this role, we are a safer country. We hope that you will stay in touch with us. When you return to Hamilton, please know that you will be greeted as a person of honor and welcomed with open arms. And we wish you well. So this is a celebration to recognize the commitment you guys have made. So thank you very much. Thanks for today.
Someone on you.
Okay.
You want to take it?
It's right above my head.